I mean, what is a podcast if not love persevering?
This is if this is your first episode, then you're in for 202 special episodes of this shit.
They're all like this.
They're all like this. This is the Illustrious Gentleman. He's Scott. I'm Ryan. It's a podcast by two comic book creators talking about comics, movies, booze, whatever else. For all of the info and to follow us on the social medias and support the show, like getting shirts and stuff like that, go to tigshow.com. All the links are there. All the past episodes are there. Scott, my friend, what are you drinking tonight yet again?
I've got, Voodoo Rangers Captain Dynamite IPA. 7.7, haven't had this one. I don't know how many in the series I have not had so far. This might be it. I might have caught all of the Voodoo Ranger Pokemon with this one.
Oh, there'll be more, I'm sure.
I don't know what's left.
Yeah.
I need a checklist. I need an old school trading card checklist.
Yeah, because there's probably like a chrome foil Voodoo Ranger that you're missing in your collection.
Yeah. You remember those, the checklist cards?
Yeah, they would, like you'd get the pack, but then the last card in the pack would be the checklist card. But it's always it was always glossy.
Oh, God.
It was always glossy. So what the fuck are you gonna check it with? Like everything rubs off.
You can't write on that shit.
No, yeah. They should have made them punch cards.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Because then you'd have to collect all of them. Because certainly you can't put the entire series on one single trading card size punch card.
Well,
not if you're using a traditional like circle punch.
Well, see, that would be the upper deck. That would be a good money making thing. Is they sell a very specific hole puncher for it that's very tiny. So you have to get your upper deck or flare hole puncher.
Flare
hole puncher. Okay, I'm. So since we're not doing video this week, what is the can art? What is our Voodoo Ranger doing on your can?
He kind of, I don't know. He looks like a space guy, kind of. He's got a skull, shoulder pads, and what do you call the forearm guard things? There's a name for those.
Forearm guard things, like wrist guards, like.
But like it covers the whole forearm.
Okay.
There's a name for it.
Sure.
Tweet us at TIG_show.
Yeah. Go ahead and email us at scottgetbetterinternet@betterinternetscottneeds.com. I am drinking Evil Twin Brewing, Evil Twin out of Dorchester, out of Boston. Evil Twin Brewing's The Art of Mixing a Beer Negroni Double IPA. It's 8%, so it's not a real double IPA. And they're doing these things where they're trying to make IPAs taste like craft cocktails or some shit. I've never had a Negroni. I don't know what it's supposed to taste like. But Jeff E. on Untapped, our friend Jeff E., he says it's another 50-cent closeout at Total Wine. Hoppy, sweet aroma, golden color, citrus, some pine flavors. There is a gin and Campari taste. Never had a Negroni cocktail, but this makes me want to try one. My wife liked it, but she says it's a girly drink IPA. So I don't know. I'm into girly drink IPAs. I don't like saying Negroni too much, so let's just
sexism come from the wife.
Yeah. I mean, women are the more powerful species, so maybe if it should be a 10% IPA if they're going to throw around the term double IPA.
What are you doing over there? Drinking a girly drink, you little bitch?
All right. So for TikTok, I want to tell you about a podcast that literally puts me to sleep. Some might say this is an ad, but it's not an ad because we don't have ads because we're not getting paid for anything. But I'm drinking the...
and it's not this show.
No. And I'm not drinking this podcast. I'm listening to this podcast. It's called I Can't Sleep. And it's basically some dude with a super deep, super sultry voice who speaks very, very slowly, and he reads like Wikipedia articles on just anything, like fences, puddles, space, pipes, whatever he wants to read, he'll read. Um, and it's interesting. He reads so slowly and speaks so slowly that sometimes I get up to check my phone. Like, did my phone die, or did the internet go out? Like, is this guy living in Gilbert, Arizona, and the internet's spotty? But it's pretty cool. They're like 25 to 45-minute podcasts, and they will literally knock your ass out. Take them with a 5 milli of melatonin, and you'll be dreaming in no time, Scott.
Yeah, it's like a narcoleptic stuff you should know.
Yeah, see, I tried listen like if I try to listen to a podcast that I'm interested in, I can't do it because then I stay up thinking about it. But if the guy's just reading about like the ice sheets of like Finland, I'm gonna doze off. Nothing against our Finlandian listeners
Huh.
or our ice sheet listeners, but
Well, I'll check it out.
yeah, it's cool. I can't sleep.
The thing I've been using to fall asleep is Netflix's The Crown. I started that, and that just bores me to tears.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I don't want to say movies are better in modern times because filmmaking techniques are better and storytelling has evolved. But whenever my wife puts on like a Turner Classic movie, it's just straight nap time. Like within like a minute, I'm in Snore City. So yeah, I guess The Crown would fit that for me, unless there's lots of sexy people in it, and I don't think they are because they're supposed to be the real royal family, so they can't be that sexy.
John Lithgow's in it.
Oh, I'm glad we're not on video because I just had to hold my beer in from spitting all over my mic because he is super sexy.
Teen heartthrob, John Lithgow.
Yeah, I mean sometimes when I need to pleasure myself,
as Winston Churchill, so he's like doubly unattractive.
Oh yeah, sometimes when I need to release some tension before I put on the I Can't Sleep podcast and after I take my melatonin, sometimes you just got to take care of yourself, ladies. You know what I'm talking about. And what I think about is Harry and the Hendersons. Is really what does it for me.
No, because when I think about Harry and the Hendersons, I think about the scene at the end where he's yelling at Harry, and then I just get all sad.
Yeah, because he's yelling at the Jack Link spokesperson. Do you have anything you wanted to throw out there for our listeners for TikTok? Anything that you would recommend that you've ingested that's Crown?
Recommend. I also consumed the first 2 seasons of Afterlife. And that was very good.
I don't know what that is.
So, no, that's Ricky Gervais's Netflix show.
Oh, is that the one with the Arrow's brother?
The Arrow's brother. What?
No, that's obviously not it. What? Tell me what the Afterlife is about.
Oh, it's just about this dude whose wife dies of breast cancer, and it's just about him. Just living on afterwards.
So it's an uplifting comedy, like Ted Lasso.
It actually is. I think I'm jealous of Gervais and how easily he's able to switch between comedy and really sort of heartfelt drama stuff, and it's all very poignant and moving. And Derek is one of my favorite shows of all time, and this is in the same vein. It's not as funny, but it's just as moving. So check it out.
Yeah, I still haven't checked out Derek, and I should.
It's so good.
I have a history of Derek's being very important to me, so maybe it's a show I should check out. All right, getting into this week's topic, which
Derek Jeter.
That's you know what, the greatest Yankee of all time.
Is it still too soon?
What is he dead?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Today's topic, this week's topic, I think is something you suggested, but as I was making my notes for it, I realized I have no idea really what you mean or what prompted today's kind of not top discussion, because I kind of worded it several ways. I have several paragraphs, is what I should say. But basically, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but basically the thing I had written down in our notes and our show notes was how disappointing it must be the people making the stuff you care about so much know way less than you. And I can't quite figure out what your angle on this is.
Right.
Is your angle being sarcastic and people care about stuff too much, or is your angle being serious and you want to
No.
discourse?
No, it's yeah, I'm scrolling through my my Twitter notifications because this came about out of a tweet that I had gotten after House of L came out, and a reader had a question about it, and I knew nothing, and I could do nothing to answer this question, even though I'm responsible for putting out the work.
Right.
There's I couldn't do anything for this person.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I should have had it pulled up here, but yeah, they asked me something about I think it was Cersei. I think that's how you say it, right? CIRCE, or is it Circe?
CERSI.
CIRCE.
Oh, Circe? Circe?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know neither.
I don't know this. I'm a Marvel zombie. I don't know. The Marvel is Cersei.
Yeah, they asked about some continuity with her because she was mentioned in the book, and I just felt so bad that it's like it's the I don't know, I only work here sort of response.
Right, but
you
didn't tweet back like you fucking nerd.
No,
you didn't call him a nerd
no,
and
I didn't
block him.
Of course not. No, but it's like I imagine it's like sports teams and shit, right? Like Yankees and Red Sox, or whatever other rivalry there is. I don't even fucking know. Like the Bears and the Packers or something. If you're a fan of those teams, you want the players to hate that other team as much as you do. You know, but they're not from that city. They didn't grow up with these teams. It's just a job.
Oh, yeah. I took this way more literal towards our profession. I got like notes on like comic book TV shows and shit. So I kind of took this.
Tell me how you interpreted this.
I interpreted this thought of yours as like quote unquote like shit. I wish I could have a crack at that, or I think I could have handled that better. Not that I feel bad that someone knows more about something than I, because I assume everyone on the planet knows more about everything on the planet other than me.
Oh, sure.
So like, it's a bummer when things that you're passionate about get made, or I guess in using your instance here, like get made or talked about or promoted and turned into something, and it's not what you had hoped. Like it's not what you would have done with it, or it's not the way you're thinking. But for a sports team, like you're thinking, like for me, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe we're one or two players away from that next level shit. But in reality, the people in charge are like, no, we're going to blow the whole thing up and put a whole new 5-year plan in place. And then 4.5 years down the line, I'm going to be like, oh, that all those decisions were great decisions. That general manager really like made our franchise. But at the time, I'm like, oh, don't trade, Jack off because he can score goals or whatever, But
I can't score anything. His name is Jack off.
Oh no, he's pretty good at doing something. But like, so an instance that popped in my head when I was writing my notes, that the first thing that came to my head was a TV show, a comic book TV show. So Powers had 2 seasons on like Crackle and Sony, or 1 season on Crackle and 1 season on like Sony PS4 network. So I love Powers. It's the comic that got me into comics again after a long absence. And, everything involved in the TV show, the Powers TV show, in my opinion, was like super weak. Like the casting was not great. Special effects were not great. They probably had like no budget, but like if you don't have a budget, why even make the show? Even the actors seemed like they knew it was shit. The creators seemed like they knew it was shit because the second season had a much bigger budget and was better. And they all seemed to not talk shit about the first season, but really pump up how great the second season was and how much better it was. Um, but something like that was a huge bummer to me because that show's ready made to be like a Umbrella Academy or The Boys. That show should be on that level.
Sure. Yeah, that should be. You're totally right.
Yeah, and it was on the level of like suddenly Susan with superpowers. Like suddenly Susan has superpowers.
Yeah, I feel it was probably sold too soon. I mean, I'm positive that it could be a Netflix series right now if the rights weren't tied up somewhere else.
Yeah, a police procedural with superpowers. It should be a no miss show.
It's a
But
CBS show.
well, that might be a problem. I think it has to be
Mark Summers.
Mark Harmon.
Right, Dan Harmon.
Yeah, Harmon. It should be another Harmonverse show. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought about it. So when you're in that instance, what did you respond to this tweet at all, or did you just ignore it and hoped it would go away?
No, I didn't respond at all. And I was going to tag, or I wasn't going to tag because he was already in it, but I was going to say, I don't know, like, Philip, do you have anything to offer on this point? But I didn't want to throw him under the bus either. So I just let it go.
Well,
but yeah, no, it got the wheels in my head turning that you just want the people making the things you love to love those things as much as you do. And 99% of the time they don't.
Yeah, like I was just listening to because of my newfound love for football, I was listening to the Sirius XM FC station, and they were talking about how some team, it doesn't even matter, like some Sacramento soccer team was going to go from essentially like the AAA level to the major league level, and then the billionaire finance guy just backed out and said he wasn't going to do it, and so it won't happen or whatever. And at first, my first thought was like, oh, that sucks for these fans that they've been tagged, they've been like their balls have been tickled for the last like 18 months that we're going to become like a major league franchise, and all of a sudden we're not because one guy decides he doesn't want to. And then they talked about how this rich billionaire guy is from like not Charlotte. He's like from the East Coast though. Like he doesn't live in Sacramento. He's not a Sacramento native. He's not he's not one of the rich dudes in the Bay Area. And I'm like, oh, do you even want that guy to be the owner of your team? Like it'd be great to have your major league team, but that guy doesn't care about your community or having, he just wants another team. Like he just wants to own another franchise. He doesn't care about that area or that team specifically. And in the long run, as a fan of something, you're probably better off having passionate people running it than having just having it get done because someone with money can get it done.
I guess I don't know if I could say better off or not, but as a fan of something, that's what you want. Like you're never going to be able to convince me that Zack Snyder loves Superman. The dude obviously doesn't understand it at all. So he is not the guy that I want making my superhero movies. It's so Justice League comes in with the same thing. I just want the person making it. Well, any of these fucking movies, any of the Marvel movies, even, right? And none of these people are fans.
Yeah,
everybody says in the stupid media interviews, "Oh yeah, I've been reading." Yeah, like Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed has not been an Ant-Man fan his whole fucking life because nobody has.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't know it because those movies are gold. So that's my next. That's my next hit point here on my notes. But I do have one other thing on the being disappointed when people do something that you care about, not up to your par or whatever. Like when I see like I don't want to use the term like lazy writing. It's like I'm not calling the writer lazy. I'm just saying lazy writing, or like rushed or less than ideal comic book art on a book that I love and that I would kill to work on.
Mhm.
That hits me a certain way that it's just like, oh, like I've been waiting for this book to be relaunched, or I've been waiting like let's go in the Wayback Machine to 1991 or 1992, and Cable #1 came out, and that book was supposed to be a Rob Liefeld joint, and it ended up being Art T. Bear. Now Art T. Bear's fine. Don't get me wrong, he's fine. He drew a fine Cable. He had a goatee and shit. It was fine, but it wasn't a Rob Liefeld Cable book. Um, so like that kind of stuff when I was younger was like, man, what a fucking bummer. I mean, I still bought it so that Marvel got their money, but it was it was a super like bummer thing. And then like now as a pro, um, like when I see a book that I love that with an artist that I love on it, with like colors that I don't love on it, that I think like there's colors that I don't love that I think as a combo colorist, like, oh, I can't color that well. Like, I just don't like these colors personally. Like, aesthetically, they're not something I would like, but I couldn't do that. But when I see a book that I love or a character that I love with a creative team that I love with colors that I don't love that I think I could do better on, there is a part of me that's like super kind of bummed out. Like, just like it, because I imagine I can't be the only one that's thinking
Sure.
this. Like, I can't be the only one that's thinking this. And in 1991, I was not the only person disappointed when you opened Cable #1. And it wasn't Rob Liefeld. Or, when you opened Brigade #1 and it wasn't Rob Liefeld. Uh, so yeah, I can see both sides of it. Like, I guess I don't really fucking care that much, but it almost seems like the people putting the work in didn't care, and that would bother me because I would have at least cared if I was working on the book. You know, uh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
make
I guess
sense?
that's as much as you can ask for, though, in the business, the entertainment business. The most you can ask for is this, that you care, even about doing the job well, or you care about the medium itself. You don't have, if you're drawing a fucking Darkhawk miniseries, uh, they're not going to get anybody that's been a Darkhawk fan for 25 years. The most you can hope for is just that they care about doing a good job and pleasing all of the readers who have been Darkhawk fans for 25 years. So, and I guess, you know what? I think the majority of the time you do get that from creators of content that you love. I at least I know like Zack Snyder loves making movies,
Right.
and he seems to genuinely love superheroes. Um, I don't know why. Uh, I I don't know. I was trying to come up with some analogy of something I love, but I don't like understand at all.
Right.
Like I love hearing people speak French, but I don't understand it. I couldn't tell you what it was. That's Zack Snyder and superheroes. Oh, it's just pretty. I like it, but I don't get it.
Yeah. Uh, I had a thought and I lost it. That's what happens when I can't look at your face while we record these. So okay, let's move on then to. Oh, I was gonna make a thing about Darkhawk. I'm a Darkhawk fan. I would love to color Darkhawk. Bring back Mike Manley. Bring back Ken Lashley. Anyone who's done Brett Blevins. No, he was Sleepwalker. So anyone who's a fan of Darkhawk, bring him back. I'll color the shit out of that, especially if it only happens at night. That would be my Darkhawk reboot. His powers only happen at night. The whole book happens at night. Uh, But enough Darkhawk talk. Jesus. So here's my next kind of
Darkhawk After Dark.
Darkhawk. Yeah, it's up on USA Up All Night, but it's Darkhawk hosting. So I extrapolated a little bit on your initial posit up here that I wasn't quite sure what you were asking about. So here's my next question: do we need comic geeks to be making these TV shows and movies, or is it okay to give free reign to people that you just hire to get different voices? Like you went through a phase where you wouldn't shut the fuck up about the second new Star Wars movie and how you liked it because it was so non-Star Wars. It was the
Sure.
Okay, what was the name of that one? I'm literally drawing
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. The slow motion space chase. So apply
the joke is the last Ryan Johnson film.
Yeah. So kind of adjust that thinking to like comic books and stuff like that. Like, do you want a super faithful adaptation that might not take chances, or do you want something totally new and independent? You know, like I think a show like The Boys is the best of both worlds. Like Seth Rogen and the other dude that also wrote Superbad, that's his writing partner. They claim to have been fans of the comic, and
sure.
they produced the show.
I buy it,
and I buy it because the show is so insane. But they're also at a studio that lets them do whatever the fuck they want. Obviously, they got no oversight when they're making The Boys, apparently, because that show can get nuts. So do you want something like that, or do you want something safe and faithful like the CW superhero shows that I think suffer from being too safe when it comes to storytelling?
I can't speak to that. I have not seen any of them outside of the Superman pilot, which I was very fond of. But even in that's telling a brand new Superman story. It's so different from the source material, but it's still keeping the soul of the property, and so I can respect that. So I do want to see new things. Yeah, I like Last Jedi because it introduced new ideas, and it wasn't just rebels have to stop super weapon just hit lightsabers against each other bullshit. And I think yes, I want to see different stuff. When you translate that stuff to different mediums, different opportunities present themselves for different storytelling choices. And I think anybody willing to take advantage of that should be, should be, what's the word I'm looking for? They should totally do that. They should be encouraged to do that. Like we talked about Ant-Man earlier, I was super psyched to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man movie, which I think would have been amazing. I love the Cornetto trilogy. Scott Pilgrim versus the World is one of my favorite movies. I want to see insanely creative people
get to be insanely creative
on the stuff that I love. But there's an asterisk of respect. So, and this is what I would think a lot of projects like whatever movies or comics or whatever stuff that gets pitched. So somebody comes to them and says, I've got this idea for a Superman arc, or, fucking James Cameron comes to Marvel and says, I've got this idea for a Spider-Man movie. That has a better chance of being better than the WB saying, we need to make a Justice League movie. Who can we find to do that? The muse aspect it seems more organic and more the potential for success is higher than the that cold sort of calculated business first decision making stuff with IPs.
Yeah, I got two follow-ups before I forget them. One is I watched the second episode of Superman today, and another big character change was made. Not character change, but situation change was made that I think you'll dig because you seem to dig that they're straying away a little bit. And then secondly, I do recall we did a podcast when Last Jedi came out, and we both hated it. So
Yes.
something flipped in you, or something happened to you. And I'm not saying it was good or bad. I still think it's a terrible movie. Uh, I will acknowledge that they took chances, but I think there's so many misses in that movie that I can't even talk about
Yeah,
it.
no,
But what happened?
there are so many misses. It's
What
uh,
flipped your script, homeboy?
the um Last Jedi, they're like the Cubs. They're like the Harry Carey Cubs. They're the lovable losers. They're they go up there and they're batting 180 as a team. They can't hit a fucking thing, but Jesus Christ, do they give their all every night? You know, that
Yeah.
that's what that movie was. It tried. It tried its heart out. It fell on its face more times than not, but it was swinging for the fences every time.
I cannot, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get past the fact that it is a movie literally about space wars, and an entire chapter was devoted to a slow motion chase. Like it's like a cop chase where it's like, oh, we don't want to upset anybody, so let's just follow him at 20 miles an hour, and maybe we'll lay down some spike strips a mile and a half up the road by the McDonald's. That is Last Jedi. Like it is.
It made some
It's
weird choices.
it took its sense of scale and its sense of power and turned it into like Matchbox car playing. Like it's so it
But
lowered the
no,
stakes so much.
it was the one. It was Ryan Johnson was thinking about everything that came after. So that movie was the movie that was jumping on the grenade
It was supposed to,
and saving
yes.
everybody else.
Well, he should have thought more about, can I make a good movie, because yeah, that's fine. We've already did many of podcasts on that, and people can go to tigshow.com and just scroll forever to try to find that one. I should collect it into a playlist or something, but
No, he gave episode 9 a great gift, and Abrams came back and Snydered all over it.
I just saw something. He just picked. I can't remember what it was. I just saw it. I know this is great for a podcast when I can't remember shit. But Abrams just got attached to, or showed interest or something in another property, and I can't remember what it is. But I was like,
Oh yeah, it's some big deal. I forget what it
yeah,
is. Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
yeah. I mean, I like his Star Trek stuff. I don't. He's
See,
becoming.
that's a thing too. That I think that falls into the topic too. Is Abrams Trek? There are people that scream and cry about Abrams Trek and how that it's not Star Trek, it's Star Wars. It's just space battles and lens flares and just crazy action all the time. Um, so that's a thing where I don't think J.J. Abrams was a Star Trek fan. I don't think that. What are those other two fuckers? Orsi and
Oh,
I don't know who
Robert
the other
Orsi
guy
and the other
is.
guy that did like Deep
Robert
Space.
Kurtzman.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think Kurtzman is the one responsible for Discovery and Picard.
Yeah, as someone who, I wouldn't consider myself a Trekkie, but I've seen almost every episode of Star Trek of every iteration. I like Star Trek, and I like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. I guess I like the first one more than the other ones. They kind of devolved to me, but I think they're fine. I've always thought, as someone who loves big action, I've always thought Star Trek needed that shot in the arm. So I'm a huge fan of the Kelvin timeline, J.J. Abrams Star Trek, and y'all can kiss my Tushy 3.0 if we had a sponsor, but we don't. Yeah, so going back to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder. Second time tonight I made that joke. First time tonight on the podcast. Zack Snyder, Superman. To go to this question that we're talking about, or this topic, he's maybe swinging too much and swinging the pendulum in the other direction way too much. As far as just like, let me do something totally different. Let me do a Zack Snyder version of these characters. To be fair, I think Jeff Johns is involved in the first round of Snyderverse films. So maybe in that instance, having a comic geek on board isn't always good if they're not going to, if they're not going to flex. If no one's
David
checking,
Goyer too, right?
Yeah, but of Blade fame. So if these dudes aren't going to flex on Zack Snyder and be like, "Oh, this is terrible," then what's the point of having them there? Like there's nothing in Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman or Justice League that needed Jeff Johns to be there. There's no continuity. There's no reason for him to be there other than to get a check. And if Jeff Johns ever listens to this, I would love to work on any of your books because I work in comics and money is good. But you have a guy who's got such an overwhelming idea of what he wants to do, and then you do have comic book people on the other side. But if there's no back and forth, and there's no checks and balances, you're gonna get Man of Steel. You're gonna get
I don't even know if it's an argument about comic book people. I don't know that you need Jeff Johns. I don't know if you need Mark Guggenheim. I think I think maybe there's two things. Like I said, there needs to be a respect for the IP, and what I mean is, I don't mean slavishly loyal to source material. But shit works for a reason, right? So Batman's around for 80 years because this particular thing is done correctly. So you don't change that thing.
Right.
You can change all the other things around it.
Yeah,
keep that thing. And the other thing, what did I say? I said respect and competence is the other one.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem with Abrams and with Snyder, is that there's a sincere incompetence when it comes to screenwriting and telling a coherent story. I think they're both fine filmmakers, and if they would both go the road of Spielberg, who has input and puts a stamp on things, but works with, accomplished screenwriters, then I think they would be a lot better off. And certainly we would be a lot better.
Yeah. As a species, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about boiling things down to their essence, why Batman works for 80 years, why Superman works for 80 years. I think that's why, to me personally, I think the Zack Snyder stuff misses it so wide, such a wide swing, and misses is because he's not boiling it down to what matters. Like, he's not boiling Batman down to what matters. He's not boiling Superman down to. It all feels Superman. It all feels so like literally dumb and just dude bro-ish, and like the Superman is the alien who represents the best of humanity, and Batman is the guy who's so overcome with guilt, and his battle is to never let anybody else suffer the thing that he suffered. And that's all you need. You can build it up however you want outside of that. I encourage you to explore everything, but you keep those pieces because that's at the heart of those things. And I mean, other things like Aquaman, go do whatever the fuck you want with Aquaman. Who cares? Yeah, and
Aquaman isn't a thing. He's just a dude that talks to fish. That's all Aquaman
But
is.
that's kind of why Aquaman works in the DCU. Is because there's no definitive Aquaman, so
Sure.
you can
Yeah,
have
and
Muscles McMuscles be cool and be Aquaman.
yeah, Spider-Man is the everyman. With great power comes great responsibility. Great. The Raimi movies did that. The new movies do that. The the other Spider-Man movies, the what's his fucking face, Social Network guy,
Andrew Garfield.
hair, hair McFace.
Mm-hmm.
You
He's
can't
like
cast that guy as Peter Parker.
Yeah, he's like skateboarding and shit. Peter Parker can't do a kickflip. Like he
No.
should not be skateboarding. That dude can't even ollie. He's like me. 80 pounds lighter. Are you able? So I guess I one last note on this topic, and then I actually have a question for you specifically. But one last note on this topic: are you able to separate the two? Like, does it really? Are you able to just be like, oh, I just won't watch Man of Steel sucks, so I just won't watch it? Does it really bother you that much? Like I love the X-Men, and I have all these amazing X-Men comics in my closet that I can read, so I don't get upset because the X-Men movies suck. Like, I'm bummed that the X-Men movies suck, and I watch them, and then when I watch them, I get fucking bummed because they're terrible. But I'm able to separate the two. Like, it doesn't stick with me. Like, it doesn't bother me past the time when I'm watching it.
I don't know. There's something. I find something offensive about the Snyderverse stuff, in a way that I don't about other things. Because like Batman and Robin is a fucking joke of a movie. Batman using the Bat credit card to pay for shit is not Batman. But I think that movie is so much fun. It's so egregiously wrong that I think it's entertaining. But with the Snyder stuff, it's
not even entertaining.
I don't know. I don't know if I would feel differently if we got the same movie from like Ron Howard or something. I think it might be the dude. He just I don't know. It would be the same way if Quentin Tarantino made bad movies. That dude is fucking insufferable. Nobody wants to be left alone in a room with Quentin Tarantino. And I think that's probably the same thing with Zack Snyder. But he makes terrible stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be left alone in a room with Quentin Tarantino if you have attractive feet.
I don't know. I just find it.
So you are personally offended by it. You do get upset about it.
It's all. It just. I think most of it. I think there's part of it because I am a Superman fan. Superman's my favorite superhero, and all the stuff is so incredibly tone deaf. But what makes me more upset is that it's something I care about and it's bad because as busy as I am and you get older and shit and you have less time to do stuff. I cannot abide bad stuff. I'm not going to waste my time on stuff that isn't good. So to keep getting but it's, man, I don't know. It's like one of those fucking Charlize Theron or like Julia Roberts fucking perfume commercials, but it's got Batman and it's 2 hours long. That's all these movies are.
Yeah. Okay. So one last question that it came up to me, or one last question. All right, let's do another take here. All right. So one last question that came to my mind when we're talking about this topic, and it really only applies to you. But how does regarding this kind of thought about ownership of ownership of IP as far as in your own head and all that shit goes? How much does fan expectation factor into decision making on your end? Like when you're drawing a page or approaching a project for DC, how much, if any, fan expectation do you take into that?
Um, nothing specific. No, nothing past the point of expectations for like superhero comics in general. I can't think of a time when I made a specific decision over Young Justice or Superman or something where I thought, um, fans of Tim Drake will really like if I did this.
Right, but do you feel pressure? Do you feel pressure to maybe so like Super Sons or something like that? Is it important to you that you make them look like they're 12 or 13 because fans have come to like these characters? Yeah, what am I trying to get at here? I guess like growing up reading comics the way I did, one artist would draw Robin like he was 30 and one would draw him like he was 12, and you just that was just what happened
Sure.
and you just accepted it. Do you think about that like when you were on Young Justice, you were saying you were getting messages or tweets and stuff about how much some of these characters meant to these people. Did that put added pressure on you to be like, well, this is the Wally they love, so let me make sure this is the Wally I try to draw?
No,
Or okay.
no, I never thought like that. No, I was surprised by stuff like people. Yeah, I get messages. People really love Cassie, and I was surprised by how much of it, probably the majority of the um, the responses I got involved spoiler. I had no idea there was such a big spoiler fan community out there.
Do you
But no, I never made any decision based on specific fan communities.
It's interesting though that a lot of the feedback you got, and maybe this is just the modern the modern world we live in, or Twitter, where everyone can you can reach out to people, which is fascinating. Like I'm going to start coloring a project for a dude who wrote a big comic book for like 15 years. Like if you had told me that when I was in high school, that's like a weird thing to me. But like a lot of these characters that you're hearing feedback on specifically are like these teenage female characters who I think we wouldn't have heard from in the early 90s, but now that Twitter's around, like
Oh no,
it's great that they can
yeah,
reach out to you and sort
real.
of and they have ownership over these characters. So maybe now more than in years past or decades past, maybe now it is more important to make sure that you're putting love and the proper respect on these characters when you're taking ownership of them for a movie or a comic book run or a TV show.
Yeah, I think that's a big component is respect. So if you don't have that, I know it's hard to turn down work, but if you can't respect the the property or whatever the fuck, the IP, the trademark or whatever, then honestly you shouldn't be doing it because you're doing a disservice to all of the the fans that do have expectations for your work right now. That's and giving it the respect it deserves, not because it's a thing. You don't have to give Batman the respect it deserves because it's lasted for 80 years, but give it the respect it deserves because it's so important to so many people. You know, and also it's about respecting yourself too. Like nobody wants to do a bad job. Nobody sets out to make a shit movie or a bad comic. Have a little self-respect. The what is it? A job well done is its own reward or some garbage.
Yeah, garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
You know,
Yeah. It's whatever you're doing, whether you're drawing a comic or you're raking leaves or you're making a pie or whatever, just do your best. It doesn't cost you anything to give it your best.
yeah, I think you just saying that the respect it deserves got me thinking. I think in episode 200, when we did questions from listeners, one of them was, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like one of them was like, what project would you like to go back and revisit, or what project do you think about fondly? And I've always thought, and maybe I said this again, it was 3 weeks ago. How am I supposed to remember any of this? But I feel like that Phantom issue, those Phantom issues I was on, I took that because it was a job, and I thought it would lead to other jobs. And I feel like that plus the shitty deadline I was given, I did not give that job the proper respect. And I think it could have been something cool. Like, had I really been able to sink my teeth into it and reevaluate it, I don't think the publisher at the time, I don't think the writer really, we were able to do that job the best we could have because of constraints and crossovers and multiple licensing shit. But yeah, that's a project that I look back on sometimes because that's such a beloved character, and I feel like I kind of mailed it in because I had to, and I felt like we were doing something great with introducing like a young teenage female Phantom, and it immediately got like wiped out. Like they didn't follow up any of that, which at the time I thought was so important. So yeah, I think if you're taking a job, whether it's in TV, film, prose, comics, whatever, if you're going to take on something that's an established property, you gotta give it the proper respect. And if you don't care about it, then at least learn the history of it and learn to care about it so that the work you do has some sort of love in it. Um,
Yeah, you just got to find the respect somewhere. So if you're just respecting the art and the process, that could be enough. That could be enough. Whatever gets you to do the best you can do in whatever circumstance you find yourself in, just rise to that. Um, eh, like nobody other than you is a Darkhawk fan. So if they find themselves doing a Darkhawk book, yeah, it's going to be a job. It's just a job. But maybe Ryan Cody is reading it and he likes Darkhawk. So don't let him down. So even if you don't like Darkhawk, like like the process, like comics, like art, like a particular thing you're trying out, like a new brush that you're using. You gotta like some part of it
right.
because that has to translate.
All right. Let me pitch you an idea here. Just imagine that you're sitting in your high-rise Burbank,
Okay,
wherever Marvel,
I'm I'm, I'm
wherever,
opening my mind's eye.
right, wherever Marvel Comics is currently situated. L.A., Hollywood, the Moon, wherever the fuck your office is, because you're the publisher. Let me pitch you an idea: a Odd Couple style book, but not so comedy because I hate working in. I don't read comedy books. I don't. That's just not my gig. But picture this: Darkhawk somehow gets the powers of Sleepwalker. Okay, so he's always Darkhawk, whoever that guy is in real life. And then when he goes to sleep, he's Sleepwalker. And then you get Brett Blevins to pencil it, you get Mike Manley to ink it, and I'll color it. And any jabroni could write it because it sells itself. It's basically the Odd Couple, Sleepwalker, Darkhawk team up book. Just start cashing the checks, Marvel.
Uh, sure. Yeah, I guess the time for that book is now. It's 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, the best part is like he's in the middle. Oh, and then do this: make Darkhawk, whoever his alter ego is, like a narcoleptic. So at the worst time, he stops being Darkhawk, and then the Sleepwalker alien comes out. Genius.
Yeah.
Jesus criminy. What am I doing on this podcast with you after 202 episodes when I have ideas like this?
Gold, Jerry.
It's gold. All right. Any other thoughts on this topic? Any other things you had in your big fat notebook that I'm sure you have in front of you?
Just no, just do your best. Respect something, and if you can't find it in anything else, at least have the self-respect to do the best you can do in any given situation.
That's right. All right. How was your we haven't done this in a long time. Jesus, I know what I want to say. I'm not going to edit this. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, perfectly fine. My Voodoo Ranger
Yes.
Captain Dynamite IPA. It was perfectly fine.
Yeah. How does it stack up against
If
the others?
you are an IPA person, it'll be satisfactory. I don't think it reaches the heights of some of the other entries in the Voodoo Ranger series. But like all of them, it's dependable. It's solid. It delivers what's promised, even if it doesn't go beyond that. So, a really solid 3.
All right. And I had the Evil Twin Brewing's The Art of Mixing a Beer Negroni deep.
Negroni Jabroni.
I was literally going to post a photo. As you were talking, after I asked you the question, and as you were talking and I wasn't listening to you, I actually thought I'm going to hashtag this Negroni Jabroni on Instagram for the TIG show at TIG_show on Instagram. That's funny. It's fine. It's one of those IPA. You know how sometimes juicy IPAs or really citrusy IPAs like a little sticky? Is that a term that you would apply to some IPAs? It's sticky.
No, I don't understand what you're saying.
It's like there's too much juice, not enough booze. Like not enough beer, too much juice. But it's 8%, so there's plenty of beer. I'll also give it a 3. I mean, if you love juicies and you love hazies, it's not hazy, so that's good. There's not shit floating around in my beer. But it's definitely juicy. I mean, looking at it right now up against the light, it looks like pineapple juice, like straight up pineapple juice or like a green tea. So if that's your shit, you'll love it. I don't know. There's a reason it's on sale at the Chevron for $5 a 4-pack. 3. It's fine. It does the job. I'm on number 3. It's an 8%. Let's get it done. All right, Scott. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything.
Wow, I think this went, even though we didn't have the video component, I think this went smoothly and wonderfully.
Swimmingly.
And the Coyotes won. I was able to watch the third period of the Coyotes game instead of being distracted by your cowboy hat. So it's a win-win all around this week.
Yeah. Yeah, people are going to miss out this week.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get a screen grab from before your internet went to hell. All right, send us home, buddy.
Yeah, take care, everybody. Be excellent to each other.
That's right. Bye-bye.